if I start off with a little bit of news about WATSAN, and there's quite a lot of that, and any questions are welcome. I don't mind being interrupted. I will give you some news, and we will get on to the material which is exciting material we've got from the various pieces of progress and activities that are going on in the field, which Kate is busy getting ready for us. The other thing we want to talk about, please, and I hope that various people are here are involved in our planned walks for water. And that could occupy us for a little while because there are quite a lot of exciting plans in place for up to a dozen or so separate, local, diverse, varied and dispersed walks for water, because of course we can't and haven't been able to gather together this summer because of you all know what. So let's just start off with a little bit of news about the field and the work in the field, and also our funding arrangements. But before I do that, can I welcome you all to this webinar. It's the second webinar we've had. We thought we could get away with a second one during this period of lockdown because, of course, none of us can go anywhere. We just had a friend at home here that we opened the double doors and allowed us to have a chat with her, and we haven't been able to do that for months. And it's the same for all of us. So we thought it was a good opportunity, really, to make a closer relationship with our donors and our supporters during this period of lockdown. I don't think we can promise to organise a webinar every 3 or 4 months or 6 months in the future, but we will have them again. I think Zoom is here to stay, isn't it? Probably, now that we've all got used to it during this period. So thank you so much for joining us. It's really good to see you. And thanks to Kate, and Graham has been involved as well in putting together the material for this webinar. I'm not sure if Andrew Starr is here. I can't see everybody.
Yeah. I'm here. Hello.
Yeah, Andrew Starr is here. So he's backing us up very strongly, as he always has. All of the walks for water we've had, he's going to back us up on that front. But let me start with some news. First of all, some really exciting news is that we do have a promise, a very clear promise, which I think we shall get some even clearer news in the form of a cheque, I trust, which is going to be available for the purchase of a very much needed new vehicle for WATSAN in the field. I think Eric's there, and Eric, just as I was coming to this webinar, or switching on almost, I had an email from Eric, who's been looking at prices of vehicles for us in Uganda. And what we are doing is we are comparing the price of a new vehicle, because you can only really compare the price of a new vehicle there with a new vehicle here. If we start trying to compare the prices of older vehicles, we don't really know, can never be sure that we are comparing like with like. So we're looking at the price of a new vehicle as acquired in Kampala in Uganda with the price that we've obtained, and James is on the line here. We're comparing that with the price which we know we can deliver a vehicle to Mombasa by an agent in this country. And so that's the way we're going about that. We can't give full details of the gift at the moment, but we are very grateful to this possibility. I know Eric is very excited about the possibility of having a really good vehicle on hand, because we've got a lot of work on hand in Uganda, and it is direly needed, and we have had to spend a lot of money on the present vehicle, in order to maintain it in condition, which has to be good. For those of you seen the roads in Kanungu and Kinjezi, and North Kigezi, you will know very well that vehicles come in for a hammering on the projects and the journeys that they have to take. So that's one very good bit of good news. I wanted to say also that we have been fortunate in accessing grants, several grants in recent months. And one of those has certainly been as a result of very good work by one of our supporters. We've obtained 2 substantial grants amounting to something like £5,000 in total towards the work of the present target scheme, which is Bwanga Hill. It's a mixed scheme of water supply and sanitation, but in fact, most of that work is sanitation at schools. And that's grants from the Suta Trust and also from the St. James's Place Charitable Foundation. So we're grateful to them, and it does mean that we already have something like £7,000 or £8,000 towards the total of something over £30,000, which the Bwanga project will cost. And we are looking to the Walk for Water as being for obtaining further substantial contributions towards the completion of that scheme. Eric will know that because he's very much been involved, of course, with the construction work which is already going on Bwanga. And in fact, I think it was earlier this week, Eric, I don't know if you're there. I think it was earlier this week that Bishop Benon commissioned the Bwanga Hill scheme. The Bwanga Hill, the spring, which is the first phase of the Bwanga Hill scheme. Eric, would you like to say a word or two about that? Can you hear me all right? Hello? You need to unmute yourself if you're speaking. No.
His picture's
I think he
gone
just
off the
walked
screen.
away. He's walked away sort of temporarily. Yeah, he's always got
I think I missed him. Okay.
Oh, he's
Okay,
coming back.
I'll leave
He's
that.
coming back.
I happy to meet you on this meeting.
There he is.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Carry on, Eric, please.
Yes, you are right. We have all finished. We have finished the construction of Cotswold Royal Spring, which is a part of Bwanga Hill project. And last week it was commissioned by Bishop Benon. However, the outlet channel is a bit boggy, and we are doing something to make it more suitable. But the reconstruction of the spring is actually finished. So we are left with the, the channel.
That's good to hear.
The outlet channel.
We've thought of that as the first phase of the Bwanga scheme as a whole. Yes. And the beauty of it is that it serves not the school, but the community around the school. That's right, isn't it, Eric? Yeah, and it's always good, I think, to let the community know that we have their needs in view as well as that of the actual schools.
The spring directly serves the community, but also the school is a beneficiary, especially during a dry season.
Yeah.
So it can as well be used by the school and even the church community.
Yes.
Some 1.2 kilometers away. And the good thing now with the school, much as they take a long distance to fetch this water, it is clean and safe water. They may take a long distance, but they will collect very good water.
And generally speaking, Eric, they will only need to do that, am I right, during the dry season?
Dry season.
Yeah. So,
but now,
in future, at least. I mean, maybe at the moment they have to access it even during the wet season as well. But once we've built some new tanks and collected water for them at the school, they won't have to walk to the spring except during dry periods.
Yes. But these days, sometimes they may run short of water and they can even access it from the spring.
Yes.
Maybe when the rainwater harvesting tanks are put in place, they would not be going there because it's a bit rainy season, so they would be collecting enough water in the rain catchment tanks. But now they may still go there when they run short of water.
Brilliant. Okay, Eric, let me put you on notice because I'm going to ask you to say something in a few moments about the Nderi scheme. Is that okay?
What?
The Nderi mini gravity flow scheme. Are you with me? Sorry,
yes, please.
am I pronouncing it wrong?
I have understood it. It is Ndere.
Nderi. I'm doing my best. Okay, so if you're ready to say a few words, I just want to say to folk that the the other project that they're working on in Uganda, the team are working on, is an extension to a previously reconstructed spring that we did about 2 years ago, which was found to be dilapidated and needed to be reconstructed. And at that time, one of our loyal supporters was on a visit, and Eric pointed out to that person that it would be possible to get more water from this spring because they'd found new sources, new eyes, we call them, around the existing eyes that were being used previously in the old spring, and take that water much further afield to many more people. But of course, that would cost money because we'd have to lay about a kilometre length of extra pipeline, and we'd have to build actually what we call a break pressure tank because it's very steep ground and you can't have too much pressure. It's a bit like if you open your tap sometimes in some basins, even in England, when you open it, it splashes all over you. Well, you've got to reduce the pressure also. It lengthens the life expectancy of the pipeline as well if the pressure is not too high. So they have to put in a break pressure tank. They have to cross several streams and take the water to 5 additional tap stands.
Yes.
As well as the existing 3 which were put in originally.
Yes.
Well, that's my understanding, Eric. I'm sure you can fill in a bit more detail for our supporters about that project and where you've got to on it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think it was 2018 when the construction of Ndere Spring took place. At that time, Benny, together with his family. He had come with his family, with his wife, his daughter, and I think 4 sons. They participated greatly in the construction of this spring. They are always there meeting the communities. And they got impressed because the communities were very active, so loving, so involved. And he realized the need for the extension of this spring. So now, after 2 years or so, we have been able to get funds, both from Ben and from UK Support Group. Now, as you have rightly said, 5 more public tap stands are to be constructed. and one reservoir tank actually has already been constructed. But to augment the yield to the tank, we are also protecting another source, which will also add water to supply to those 5 more tap stands. So it is ongoing, and the progress is so good. The reservoir tank is now finished. They are working, our masons are working on the protection of additional source, and they have also started on the construction of the 5 public tap stands. Besides, the software activities are ongoing, mobilization of the beneficiaries, teaching on the improvement of sanitation and hygiene at households. It's ongoing, and the work is so impressive.
Thank you, Eric. That's great. I'm glad you've mentioned that last point, because one of the points I forgot to mention earlier was that the grant that we had for the Sutta Trust was specifically for our educational work.
Yes.
And therefore, you've been able to do, or you are in the process, I believe, of doing
Yes.
that similar educational work, health and hygiene education, and
Yes.
making people aware of the importance of water and the importance of keeping themselves clean, and of washing their hands with soap, which we know all about in the UK with the COVID pandemic. People over here have had to be reminded time and again to wash their hands with soap regularly.
Yes.
And you've been doing that sort of work together with improving the sanitation arrangements in people's homes, and building dish racks, for example, and compost tips, compost heaps or areas for people to use, and dish drying racks and all these sorts of things. To help the community to take advantage of the new facilities that have been constructed for them.
In addition, the communities are involved in trench excavation for pipeline laying. They are also involved in that. They are hosting our masons and other workers, feeding them. So they are doing great work. They are very grateful, and it is expressed in the involvement of the work of extension of this spring.
Good, brilliant. And I just want to mention on the work that's being done by the team, we have 2 new, quite substantial gravity flow schemes which are under consideration. Both of them are in Kanungu, in Kinchizi Diocese, Kanungu district. And you've been putting together, with the help of a district officer, a district water engineer, designs for those 2 schemes. One of them is called Ruheza, but don't worry about the name of it. It's called Ruheza. And that is, we are expecting that to be funded in the middle of this calendar year, from the beginning, from the middle of this financial year, by Tier Fund, that many of you will have heard of. So Tier Fund are offering us funds to carry out that gravity flow scheme. The other gravity flow scheme, which you're also working on the design for, Eric, is one which I cannot pronounce. But maybe you'd like to pronounce for me, please.
Omuchisiawa.
Say that again.
Let's try
Omuchisiawa.
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 Try that, everybody.
Correct. Omuchisiawa.
Omuchisiawa. And we have applied.
Sorry, not very good.
We have applied to the to UK Aid Direct in this country for funding for that project. But all of you will know of the circumstances in what was DFID, but now part of the Treasury, which has had its budget cut and is telling us that they can't make up their minds whether to fund our project or not, although they have put us on the short list to be funded if the Chancellor of the Exchequer or whoever looks after these things at the very top of the organisation decides which and how much funds can be allocated in which direction. So that's something for all our prayers, that project is funded, and Eric has been putting together, and the team, of course, not Eric all by himself, but Eric and the team have been putting together a baseline survey and a project design for that scheme, which I'm still not going to try to pronounce, but I'll get round it eventually. Can you say it, Ellie?
Not sure I can.
Orchidsiaba.
Oh,
Ian, I just wonder.
Yeah, please, yes. Graham, come in.
Yeah, I just wonder whether it'd be good to say that. I mean, the good news that we've
Yes.
heard is that we've been shortlisted
Yes.
for this.
yeah.
Hey, that's
I
great.
did say that, yeah.
So we've actually been shortlisted, but
Yeah.
Great.
we're still waiting to hear what's in
Yes.
the pot.
Yes, that's yes, please be clear. We've got through what amounts to the first stage of that application.
Hey,
So we
great.
are shortlisted, but we don't know that the funds are going to be made available. Thank you very much, Graham, for emphasising that. That's great.
We do need to pray.
Yeah, we
Yes,
do need to
yes.
pray.
So if you're a praying person, please would you pray that we'll get that, because it will be
For your information,
Any questions
can I
at
say
this point?
something?
Please.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, of course.
As regards Ruheza Grafte Flow Scheme funding, their fund has already sent in some funds.
Oh, right.
Oh,
That's news.
Yes.
oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. How much,
Has
dare
it-
I ask how much they've sent? Or is that secret?
In Ugandan, in Ugandan shillings, it's 150 million shillings.
Oh gosh, that sounds an awful lot, Eric. but we don't have to divide it.
£30,000.
£30,000.
150 million shillings.
What a lot of shillings.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant though, Eric. That's what they promised.
I think it's around
Must be a wheelbarrow.
I think it's £30,000, isn't it?
Gosh.
yeah.
Roughly. I mean, it's
Yeah,
around
roughly.
5,000 shillings to the pound.
Yes.
Around that.
Many of you will know that, but not all of you perhaps. So if you divide 150 million in your head quickly by 5,000,
Yeah,
Ian,
I think
can
you'll
I just
find
quickly
it's
come in?
30,000 pounds.
Ian,
But
Yeah,
that's very, very
yeah.
good news. Andrew, did you want to come in?
It's actually.
just
Please,
very
Anne.
quickly to say, when people are praying, of course, we are just a small part of the huge impact that these decisions by the government to cut aid is having across the spectrum. And it really, there are country offices that have had to cut something like 60% of their programs in some of the poorest countries of the world.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
actually, there's a really huge impact on the poor, and we see it here in WATSAN and our potential for us. But it's common to everybody. It's not just hitting us. So just in your prayers and pray.
We absolutely will. For
There is a
those of you who
big,
don't
big
know,
impact.
Andrew is one of our trustees who's just spoken. You probably do know that. And he used to work for DFID, actually, UK Aid Direct, as it now is. So he's kind of in the know, aren't you, Andrew?
Well, yeah, yes, I am. But that's the impact on the poor people. So let's just pray, because it can be reversed and lots of programs can happen. Whatever the press says about them, there were some fantastic programs I know about, not just ours, but others as well. That
Of course, yeah.
budget.
No, that's a very fair point. Thank you, Andrew, for making that point. Does anybody else want to
I
ask any
think
questions or make
Kate may be ready with the video
any
now.
points
Yeah,
right
37.
now? Don't be shy.
I was just saying on the chat, Ian, that of course people could also write to their MPs about this
Yes.
government change. I think, you know, that's certainly something I'd be willing to do. So, yeah.
Yep. No,
Yeah,
that's a good
well,
idea.
that's a very good point. I know Graham has already written, and I think you got the fairly standard answer, didn't you, Graham? That, you know, that
I did.
down the line.
I did, but I'm also know that he this particular MP is got interest in overseas projects. So yes, he came back with a stop answer, but I hope it all helps to add to the stack that he might otherwise get on this subject. But I would certainly encourage people to write to their MPs.
Yeah, indeed. Okay.
I think Kate's pretty much ready now.
Is Kate ready?
Almost. Yeah.
How do you know?
Because she told me.
Oh, right. So, okay. Well, I think we'll go over to this. Where is Kate?
I'm just trying to unmute myself. I can't show my video for some reason, which is probably a good thing. So I would just wanted to say, I'm sorry you can't see me for some reason. My video is not working. So our colleagues out in the field, particularly Marius and Moses, have been doing an amazing job of going out to some of the projects and taking some video for us so that we can share with our supporters here. Firstly, what the need is in Bwanga, and also what the potential is in another project that was recently completed in Jahihi Hill. So the video that I'm just getting ready to show you shows some people from both of those areas. So it will start out by showing you where people in Bwanga currently collect their water. So you can just see what the current situation is. And then we'll have the head teacher of the school there speaking about the need, and one of the people from the church as well in Bwanga. And then following that, you'll have two women speaking about the project that was completed by WATSAN last year in Jahihi Hill, which is a very similar project to Bwanga. I'm sure Eric could tell us more about that. And some really inspiring women talking about the impact that the WATSAN project has had in Jahihi Hill. So I'm just getting that ready for you. I just wanted to tell you what you'll be seeing because I haven't put captions or anything on it. I just wanted to get it ready for you right away. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I have got it now. So if that's okay, Ian, I'm just checking that it's working.
We'll do this next, Kate, and then we'll come back to the walks for water after that.
Yeah, and
could you
discuss as well?
Could you allow me to introduce Marius and Ivas who are with me here?
Yeah.
Oh yes, that would be brilliant. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Hi everyone.
Marius.
Hello, Marius.
Hi.
Marius. Can you hear us?
Yeah. Hi. Good to see you all.
Yeah. Sure. Good to see you.
Hey everyone.
Hello, Ivas.
Hello, Ivas.
Nice to see you.
Very good. Well, we're looking forward to these videos that Marius particularly, I know, has been involved with. Thank you very much, Marius.
And Moses.
See Moses.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ian.
Yeah, Moses is there.
Yeah, Moses is there. I can't see Moses.
Oh, right.
Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go.
Bwanga Secondary School, basically, we have 4 sources of water. We have the gravity flow scheme, we have the rain harvest, we have a protected spring, and the borehole. However, all these have challenges. For example, the gravity flow is intermittent, and this forces students to go to the congested protected spring to fetch water, and which is very far. Secondly, as for the rain harvest, the water tank is small and the capacity cannot sustain us for long, together with the communities. The borehole has since broken down, therefore it's not reliable at all. So much as we have those 4 water sources, they are not enough and they are not helping us. especially with a big population of 650 students. Now, this is challenging us a lot because we look at the distance which students use to go and get water. It's far. Secondly, it's laborious. And in terms of discipline, it interferes a lot. So the school routine is usually interfered with because of lack of water. Actually, this place or community has challenges and they don't like themselves because they don't have enough water. They feel neglected. They don't, enjoy their lives simply because like they don't have enough water to wash their clothes, to bathe. So you find there are even conflicts regarding water usage in homes. So you find if somebody has brought water and maybe a child misuses it, there stems a lot of conflicts on that. So it's a big challenge, especially regarding water situation at Bwanga. Now, with this lack of water, our students' education has been affected because it's time consuming. The time they spend going to fetch water, especially from the protected spring, which is far away from the school, it constitutes hard labor because a child carrying a jerrycan or a 20-liter jerrycan from the spring up to here. And when you talk of a healthy mind in a healthy body, this one is lacking because they don't have water to make their bodies healthy, thus not having healthy minds. And sometimes even coming to school, they come very late because of the impact of that water congestion, especially at the protected spring.
The impact is that my people sometimes get diseases related to poor health because of the contaminated water they fetch. They spend a lot of time waiting for water. They compete at the water sources. And I believe even in their homes, they don't have good sanitation because they fear to use water. They use it sparingly so that they can have maximum use of it. And I think that affects their health and their well-being.
It has improved so much because we used to have a few latrines which would empty twice a term and they were not enough for the students. But with the offer from WATSAN, we have a VIP latrine, actually latrines for both girls and boys, with a changing room where girls are very comfortable when it comes to their periods. So we thank WATSAN so much. Besides, we got modern bathrooms where girls can place their basins and bathe comfortably. But before we had very few bathrooms and the population is very big. So we thank WATSAN so much. I wish they could keep coming. Thank you.
For instance, talking about this project that have been given us as Chai School community, they have helped us to solve the problem of congestion. Because I remember back at the days before we had them, we had a problem of congestion during showering, washing our clothes. But right now, because we have the facilities, we are able to get everything that we want, and a good health, a good mind.
I should send my apologies to the team in Uganda because they have sent me a huge number of further clips of that, which I am going to edit together into a version of that video to share with our supporters by email afterwards, where you'll see much more of the context of both of those projects and more of the clips like the one at the beginning. So they did an absolutely fabulous job of going to film and interview different people from those two projects. So the first one where they were talking about the need was Bwanga Hill, and the second one with the two women talking very passionately about the impact of our work there. Those were from Chihihi Hill, and I think that was funded partly by the Funding Network event, and several of our supporters have also hugely supported that project. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a snapshot of the impact of that on the institution of the school and also on the individual pupils there. I love the way that girl talked so passionately about how her life and their well-being has been improved by the project. So there's more to come on that, with huge thanks to Marius and Moses and the team in Uganda.
Thank you very much, Kate. I assume that we'll be able to put both the video we've seen and perhaps a selection of some of the others on the website.
Yes, yeah, I will
course.
do. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll put them onto the website and I'll send an email with a link to them. So there will be more insights and images of what the roads are like and all of those kind of things. Actually, they've also shared lots of images like that. So it will hopefully will bring the project to life and the to life. Yeah.
Fino, good.
Well, we'll look forward to that. Our oldest supporter, Joyce, who I don't think is quite with us at the moment because she hasn't been all that well. She'll be 96 tomorrow. I think I can honestly say she's our oldest supporter, but very enthusiastic. And when her son's there, he will help her to see the video online. So that would be good. Yeah. So thanks for that, Kate. Thank you.
Can I ask at this stage if there's any comments or any questions or other contributions supporters would like to make or even trustees would like to put in at this time?
No, come on to the Walk for Water.
Because if not, we'll move on to the Walk for Water. Eric, you've been busy this month. Let me just ask how the team is and how you are. You all are. Do you want to say a word or two about the COVID scene in Uganda? Because we're always interested in that. Everybody knows about COVID. Wherever you speak to anyone in the world, they know all about it. But our experiences are all different.
Yeah, I think everybody knows that COVID prevails because they have seen some people die and getting buried, and we get information from radios, televisions. Our local leaders talk about it, particularly the health department at the district. It's talked about in the churches. So everybody is aware. Although people seem to have got tired about the tension of COVID. So they have a great number have stopped using face masks. It's like they are giving up on COVID. But fortunately, vaccines are now coming in. It has started in Uganda, and people have high hopes that they will get vaccinated. Although they are still conscious, about the COVID-19 pandemic. But somehow the tension is now reduced, not so much. The churches are full again.
Good.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good. But in church, you have to keep your distance and wear a mask.
The lockdown on the school, and particularly we keep distance. Like a big pew that used to be filled by 6 people, only 3 people occupy the pew. So we are conscious about the COVID-19 pandemic and its infection.
Good, thank you for that. And you have been able to recommence health and hygiene education and training and community meetings outdoors, or maybe even in the churches or in the inside.
It has resumed, but we are conscious.
I think the line is going, isn't it?
Of gathering just a few people at a time, fewer people.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 The line's not brilliant right now. So I think we thank you very much for your contributions, Eric. And it was great to see Marius, and Moses is there as well, I believe, with you.
Yes, he's Techno Spark.
Ah, he's Techno.
He's Techno Spark, is he? Moses, say a word to us.
Hello.
Hello.
More than one word.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, just to thank you so much for, for the deliberations. I've been listening keenly, and I'm grateful and happy for what is happening in WATSAN. Thank you, our chair, and all the members that have participated.
Well, good wishes, Moses. It's nice to see you, though we can't actually see you very well, but it's great to have you with us.
Is that a little better?
A little bit.
A little bit.
That's fine. We can hear you loud and clear.
Of course, I'm dark, so once even darkness also adds in, it becomes worse.
Indeed. Indeed.
Get the studio lights in next time, Moses.
Okay, brilliant. Well, he's there, and he's a great guy to have around, is Moses, in the WATSAN community. And his particular role is to look after our interests, WATSAN's interests, and forward the projects in the Kinchizi Diocese or Kunungu district. Because, of course, most of you will know our main office is in the other district. They're about 30 or 40 kilometres apart, but it takes well over an hour to get from one to the other.
On a terrible road.
On a terrible road, yes, absolutely. So Andrew is here, Andrew Starr, and we wanted to just talk briefly with everyone about our plans for Walks for Water in the summer, which I mentioned already. And I think Andrew's ready to say a word or two. Andrew has been on all 5 of our previous Walks for Water where we gathered together in one spot. Well, we couldn't do that this year. There was no way we could plan it. And I'm not sure if we could have done it even if we had planned it, quite honestly, as things stand. I'm glad we didn't try. And so what we've done is we've organised, or you, our supporters really, are organising is what I should say, about a dozen or so separate, local, smaller, but nevertheless equally vigorous walks for water. Andrew, do you want to say a word about the plans?
Yeah, it's great to be with you, and we had such a great time with Moses and Eric in the Quantox. And it's not going to be like that this time, which is so sad. But we're going to make the most of the opportunity we have this year, because I am sure we will have walkers walking for WATSAN who wouldn't come away for the weekend, but they will join us for the day in our localities. And we've been sharing maps. I was talking to Ian earlier, and we thought that this webinar would be a good opportunity to say we're going to launch the recruitment now for the walk, which I think most walks are going to go on the 19th of June. Am I correct, Ian and Ellie?
I think so.
Some are different.
One or two people haven't yet quite decided which day, and you're talking about launching this. We must get those folk who haven't decided which day they're doing to decide which day. But I think most of them will be on June the 19th. But I can see Ali in the middle of my screen at the top here, and she's doing one on the Birmingham canals with Tim, her husband, and they're going on June the 12th.
Yeah.
And then James, who was here somewhere, is doing one on the South Downs, and he's doing his on the 26th.
I've done a doodle poll to ask people the one they can make most over June, Sunday, July. So hopefully there's one date, and there may end up two.
Oh, brilliant.
What, two walks on separate days?
Well, I've asked people, the core group, and I'll ask wider in a doodle poll, if you know what that is, what they can do over June and July. So hopefully we'll be done and dusted by the second Saturday in July at the latest.
That's great. That's great, James.
Well, of course, it gives us a lot more flexibility having separate walks in separate areas. Everybody can do their own thing within reason, and they can even have it on different days, and they can start at different times, and all sorts of possibilities in terms of differences and flexibility. So another advantage, I suppose, of not all meeting together at once in one place.
So
carry on, Andrew, please.
Yeah, I think it would be wonderful if, the silver lining will be that we are able to recruit more interest in what Moses and Erica are up to in that southwestern part of Uganda. That would be wonderful. I think the videos, and thank you, Kate, so much for editing them. But like a short advertising video would be so powerful to help recruit our walkers. So hopefully they'll join us, because they'll be just delighted to walk with us. But what we really want is for them to know why they're walking, and that it's for a wonderful cause. For people that we know and love. So yeah.
Well, thank you, Andrew, and thank you for your persistent support for WATSAN over many years, and indeed for Andrew's always been one of the leaders, or the leader in some cases, of the individual walks that we've had over 5 years. Over a period of 10 years, 5 of them. And he's very active in putting this project together. We're relying, however, very much on individual leaders, some of whom are with us on the webinar here, and we want to thank you, and thank you others. I'm going to ask Ellie if she would just give you an idea of the range of walks that are available and are being done as a matter of solidarity. We will send this round to you all so that you can see the list for yourself.
Yeah.
But
Ian, Annie had her hand up. I don't know if she...
Yeah, Annie, do you want to say something?
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. I was just going to ask the same question. I'm in South Somerset now, and was hoping to mobilise my 7 churches, which are around a big hill. And but I haven't fixed a date, and I haven't committed them yet. But hitherto, the 7 parishes have supported a Kenyan project, so it's been harder to wean them off that, frankly.
Oh, well done.
But I think that we can do both and they like to walk. But that's South Somerset.
Where actually
can we get in touch with you and get some of the details, and we'll
I'm
make
on your
12
email
walks.
list, Ian. I'm still on your email list, yeah. So
yeah, so if we'll drop you a line and we'll get some details so that we can put your walk onto the list as well.
Super.
Hopefully.
That's really great.
Yes.
I was hoping we would get to 12.
Yes, I think we will. If you
will be the 12th.
Yes.
Julie has her hand up, Ian.
Yeah.
I can't see people who've got their hands up, actually. Well, I can, some of them.
Julie's got a hand up.
Julie, please, Julie.
Well, only to say, after what Annie's just said, our walk is on the Quantocks. Although I live in Devon, we're actually doing some of the Quantocks again.
Brilliant.
So I just thought I'd let you know there's another one going on in Somerset.
Thank you.
Yes, well, we're going to read out the list in a minute, but James, you had your hand up.
I'm just going to say, I think it's a great opportunity to recruit people from our local areas. Much easier to come on the walk. So I think if we can have a big push on, I mean, I was chatting with my physio the other day, who loves walking. He lives locally. I think he'll come along. It doesn't have to be just a Christian church people. You could actually get a lot, I'm sure we're all thinking, from our locality to join in. So you could easily double the number.
Yes.
You know, without too much effort, I think, and you double your money.
Smashing idea.
It's very interesting. It's all about the support, isn't it?
That's great. Can we bring Andrew in now?
Andrew's on
This
the
Andrew.
screen is next to you, but he's a long way away from you because
Andrew Bailey. Can you give a
Andrew
wave, Andrew?
is up in Yorkshire. Andrew, would you be in a position just to say a word or two about what you've done, or what you are doing, I should say, up in Cleveland Hills?
Yes, well, I can say what I've done so far. I've just looked at a map, really.
Good, that's a good start.
Because it's not been possible to get out far enough to do any research on the ground.
Right.
But my present plan is that we start from a well-known car park, which has a cafe and everything. And there is a well-defined 10-mile circle to the north, which could combine the same starting point with a shorter 5-mile circle. I've so far advertised this as offering 5, 10, or 15. If anybody was willing to do the 15, then we would have, I'm in the process of trying to work out a third walk to the south, which would have to be added on when they'd done the 10 miles to the north. But this
Brilliant.
might work, I think.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Andrew.
Martin? Martin, can you show yourself?
Is Martin here?
There he is, down the bottom, in the middle.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, Martin. You're Martin. Would you? Yeah, I had a lovely letter from Martin, who went out on an expedition. I'll tell you where, in which he obviously found a lot of interest and excitement and a lot of beautiful scenery, pretty much in the centre of London. So, Martin, would you like to say a word or two about your walk?
Well, I'm one of those people who've been an armchair supporter for a long time and never bothered coming on the walk and just paid my money. So you already got one convert to walk water. But it's also forced me to write a very interesting spiel for all our church. And I've had a number of people who are going to come on it who'd never heard of WATSAN. So I think that's the sort of thing that's going to happen. No, I did the walk. I did part of the Thames path the other day, just to prove to myself that I could do it before I committed other people doing it. And it made the old hips ache a bit, but I'd started at Teddington Lock and walked to Putney Bridge, and fascinating walk along the south side of the River Thames. I think I would do it in reverse because it's easier for people in the area to get to Putney for a sort of a night 10 o'clock start. So that's the plan, to walk from Putney Bridge to Teddington Lock, which is 12 miles or 30,000 steps on my Fitbit. There are various places where we can escape for coffees and a lunch. I didn't see too many toilets on the way, but that was a bit of a concern, but I'm sure that the pubs will be open by then with community toilets. But fascinating walks. It's starting at Putney Bridge, taking in Kew Gardens, various stately homes, wonderful properties by the river, ending up in Teddington, where there's lots of nice restaurants if anyone wants to go and take their family or with other friends and have a meal. So that's the plan, 19th.
Sounds lovely.
Thank you, Martin. Graham, what about a word about yours? Because you've got one going as well.
Yeah, we haven't, I think like Bill Andrew, you haven't had a chance to actually walk it yet, but we've seen it on paper because it's one of the trails which is circular walk of about 12 miles along the south part of the South Downs Way from a place called Amberley, which is just north of Arundel. It's supposed to have stunning views. So hopefully, if it's a nice day, we'll get some stunning views across towards the sea. It's also a route that can be cycled with mountain bikes. So yeah, so we're going to put it out to the folk we know around here in our church and elsewhere, hopefully. But we're looking to start about 10 o'clock. And yeah, it apparently takes between 5 and 6 hours because there are some ups and downs on it, needless to say. So And also, at Amberley, there is a station, so you don't have to go by car.
That's handy.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah.
Graham. That's great.
What
And
about
next
Ali?
door to you on my screen is Ali, and then perhaps we can come to Andrew. I think we've got Andrew and
Yeah.
Caroline. Maybe I think they've got something lined up as well. Alison, you want to say a
Hello.
word?
Yes,
Hello.
yes. So we're planning to do a walk from our front door. We live in the suburbs of Birmingham, so it's going to be quite an urban walk. But we're going to go across the city, the sort of south of the city, via some parks, taking in various sites along the way, and then pick up one of the canals into the centre of Birmingham, see some of the sights of Birmingham, and back out the canal, which is just a few doors up the road from where I live. So that's our plan.
That's good.
On the 12th of June.
On the 12th of June.
Yes,
Yes, understood.
First, I think.
And we've got Andrew, and then there's James somewhere could say a word or two.
James has.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Do you like to say a word?
Andrew McLean. You haven't heard from him.
Andrew and Caroline.
Yeah, so we're doing a Cotswold Walk, possibly Bourton on the Water or one of the other water themed, places around us in the Cotswolds. We don't want to make it too far because I've struggled. I've got a lot of blisters sometimes for 20 miles in the past. But we basically had the idea, our dog had puppies and we thought we'd have a sponsored dog walk. So that's involved the owners who bought the puppies, and we just thought it's something a bit different. People could sponsor their dogs to walk for WATSAN, or get their dogs sponsored. People are a bit crazy about puppies, aren't they? So
yes,
we're planning on doing.
Well, that's a novel idea. So we got dogs and bikes as well as walkers in this. It's very good, very good.
I do mean I have to say about our walk. Sorry. Our walk's going to be from Bishop's Waltham, which is quite near Winchester, up on the Downs, across some very famous Christian pilgrim ways. So there'll be a bit of history, a bit of Christianity along the way, stopping here and there. But it's going to be a killer walk, 25 miles. Okay, so and a short one as well. So your flexibility, but a bit of pain for WATSAN. So I don't want to put anyone off, but we're going to push you up and down, quite long. But there will be some options for shorter as well, or biking as well if you wanted to.
Yeah. So as things have worked out, we look like having 12 walks, and in two cases they're similar. They sound similar, but actually they're quite very different, because we here in Oxfordshire are doing a Thames Path walk as well. So I'm calling ours Thames Path West, and Martin's will be Thames Path East. Because of course, Martin's is very close to London Central. We are close to Oxfordshire. We'll be walking from our home with Stephen Hayward as the main leader. And if I can manage the 16 miles, I shall help him along. And we'll be walking from our home to the River Thames, and we walk along the Thames for about 6 or 8 miles to the reservoir of Farmore Reservoir, which is the reservoir that supplies water to the city of Oxford and around, and then back through one or two of the villages and once again to the river to return to our home. So that's our walk here in Oxfordshire. The South Downs, as you will have heard, has 2 walks. One on the western end, that'll be James's walk from Bishop's Waltham, and one on the eastern end, which is Graham's walk. And then Elias reminded me that we haven't asked Andrew, who came in at the beginning and is helping with the organisation of all of this, to describe his walk. Maybe you could say a word or two about your walk, Andrew.
I'll just tell you, to intrigue you, the highest point near where I live is in Leicestershire. Most of it is a quarry, and I've been up there when they've set off the explosions and the whole hill shakes. So it won't happen on a Saturday, sadly, but that would be quite exciting, wouldn't it? We could blow up all our WATSAN supporters in one go. But there we are.
They're rather precious.
So you're doing a walk around the high points of Leicestershire, you told me, but you warned me that they weren't very high.
They're not.
Okay, but I think I'll join that one, although the Thames is actually less in height as well. Can I just say that there are 2 or 3 other walks which aren't represented, or just 1 or 2. Michael Vick, who has been a faithful leader on previous WATSAN walks as well, is organising one for us in the Peak District. Andrew spoke to him this morning. I don't think we know the details, but he's behind us and with us in this enterprise. And then I think the only other one, we've heard from the Quantox, from Julie. I think the only other one is Johnny, my son, and Ivana, his wife, are organising one in the Deverells. Does anybody know where the Deverells are?
Maybe Annie Gurner would know. She's Somerset. I don't know.
Anne, do you know where the Deverells are?
Yes, I do. They're near Stourhead, the National Trust place, just off the 303. There's about 40 minutes north of where I am now. So I'm not quite sure whether they're in Somerset or Wiltshire. I think they're just into Wiltshire.
Yeah,
yes.
A friend of mine is a vicar there. So
fine. It's been described to me as southwest Wiltshire.
Yes, I think it's just on the border with Somerset.
So that's the 11th or the 12th walk, and yours, Annie, is, what do we call yours?
Well, the southwest for the southwest, I guess. I'm on Ham Hill. All my villages, my parishes, I'm a vicar, are called the Ham Hill villages, and they form a necklace around an old Roman hill, quite a big landmark. If you ever come west down the 303, you look up and there. So we would crisscross and do we would do a figure of 8 over the top of the hill.
Wonderful, thank you. That's really marvellous. And so we should call it Ham Hill, Dorset?
No, not Dorset.
Somerset.
Somerset. I beg your pardon.
But
Somerset.
unfortunately, I'm conducting a wedding on the 19th of June, so I may have to shift it a little bit. So that's a real shame. But I'm
well. You want to opt for the 19th or the the 12th or the 26th?
If it's possible.
Not this minute, but sometime.
As long as you don't get another.
We'll be in touch.
Another wedding.
No, that's clear. And just, I mean, it's not a great interest, but my son, who came to Uganda to visit the WATSAN projects in 1997 as a 16-year-old, and came home and raised over £1,000, I think, in our local church. He was it was life-changing for him. He's 40 that week, and I'm going to try and involve him and his children as well.
Oh, that's really great. Well, thank you for doing that, and thank you for joining us on this webinar. It's great to meet you, even if it's not face-to-face, so to speak.
We've met before, Ian. I've always been a supporter, but I was called Raven before.
And Raven, yes.
Well, of course we have.
I got married, sorry for the confusion.
Don't be sorry for that, but that was a long time ago.
Interesting comment in the chat about her involvement with a previous vehicle, which you might want to look at, Ian. Unless I think we probably want to finish soon, but
yeah, we should finish, shouldn't we?
There's a great comment from Annie there. Thanks, Annie.
Wasn't it great? Thank you.
That's really good.
Any other comments, thoughts, questions, comments before we wind up?
No.
What about things like insurance or disclaimers?
Well, that's a very good question, Andrew.
Safety. Everyone's so conscious of health and safety and all these kind of things. And if we don't know some of the participants, we've no idea where they're coming from.
Well, that's a good point.
Could there be a sort of standard, fairly legal disclaimer that we could use on all the walks or something? I don't know.
Well, I don't know either. We have in the past discussed this, and we've often, what we tended to say is that we must, of course, be very, very sure that well, the technical term is carried out a risk analysis. We've looked at all the possibilities of something going wrong. And of course, we've always, with the main walks, we've always provided a medical officer to attend with us. I'm hoping that, Martin, you're still there. You've been in touch with Matt Dunkley. Are you still with us?
Yes, I
Yeah.
did contact him. He hasn't replied, but he's very busy.
Oh, he's fantastically busy at the moment.
He's a busy
with
guy.
COVID and everything, because he's a
But
consultant.
I believe he lives in Fulham, so if he doesn't
Yes, he
come
does.
to
He travels to
Putney
Joy
Bridge,
every day.
he's in the doghouse. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's desperately busy. Please forgive him.
Please don't be
he's
discouraged that he hasn't
overwhelmed
answered.
with
No,
COVID.
no. Can I just ask a question? Can I just ask a question about the
yeah,
actual donation? Not having done this, is it? Are you keen that we all find out how much each walk was raised, or is it better to just tell people to donate through the website so they could be gift aided, or will there be gift aid?
There will be.
You'll give me advice on this, no doubt.
We will, and we have got pre-drafted sponsorship forms, which people can take out with them, and take to their supporters. That is the supporters of the walkers, I mean now, so that, and they can opt for us to obtain gift aid on their donations. And yes, it is possible to give through GiveNet. And we'll send out the details of all that kind of thing very soon.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't finish answering Andrew's question. I think that Martin may be the only one of the 12 of us, or there may be others who will have a doctor with them, but I think each of us needs to appoint somebody who is responsible for the first aid on the day. If you can find a trained first aid person to join in with you, that would be the very best thing that you could do. Yes, James?
Yeah, that's a really good idea to do that. Just also on insurance, do we make sure the organisation that we're doing it from, i.e. possibly a church, has its, public liability, basically?
Yes. If you can do that, that would be good. Is that possible with your?
Well, I mean, I think anything organised by an organisation, you'd probably have general cover for events you do, but you might want to notify them of this particular event, any particular risks.
Yes.
If it's with ecclesiastical insurance, which is for a lot of churches, then providing the PCC or APCC minute that they're supportive, and you drop a line to ecclesiastical, then you will be covered.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very useful point.
That is cool.
Are people generally in a position to do that? I guess we could do that. I haven't thought of that
It's a really
before.
good idea. Thank you, Anne.
I mean, if we're honest, we've as an organisation always opted to take the risk on the basis that we are doing all we can to make this safe, and we've discussed some of the issues there. And on the basis that, as you said, Andrew, that people are taking part in this event at their own risk.
And I think also, Ian, if we produce a risk assessment and we send that to everyone who's coming, then that often, in terms of corporate organisations, that's generally what happens. So everybody accepts the risks and how they're mitigated. I mean, and I think there'll be the obvious ones, but it's just making sure that, people who aren't physically fit or aren't well or whatever, we understand that, they understand the situation. It's those sort of things. I think we can draft something out, can't we?
Yeah, I think we can. Yes, I think we should do that, Graham. Thank you. I mean, I think it does depend a little bit how big these walks are going to be. I mean, I had envisaged that there wouldn't be more than, well, let's say it's rather an arbitrary number, 30 or so people, but I think probably less than 20 on most of these walks. But from hearing one or two of you, I'm thinking there might be a few more than that. And we do need to be careful about having somebody present there and responsible for safety. I think if there's more than 10 people, more than 10 or 12 people.
Well,
thank you, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew.
I just say on the news today, there was talk about this wretched third wave. You know, our lives are not certain, are they? And
No.
Plans have been reneged on like Christmas.
Yeah,
we don't know what's going to happen. Probably the biggest risk to this event is going to come from a politician's mouth. You know, we might be told the rules have changed. That's
well, we might, but I think that's very unlikely at this stage in this country. I mean, the talk of third wave, of course, on Europe is a very serious matter. And I think in this country we should be all right. But of course, we must bear in mind we might have to cancel it all at the last minute.
Oh dear.
But I doubt that's.
Yeah, me too. I doubt it. And
but thank you for mentioning.
I feel at the moment that's the biggest risk that we face.
At the moment, the main event of June the 19th is 2 days inside what is planned to be the lifting of all restrictions on the 21st of June. But the restriction, the stage, I think it's stage 4, isn't it, which comes into effect on May the 27th, am I right? Well inside, allows up to 30 people to gather outside, accepting social distancing, of course, outdoors. So that should be okay. But it does mean, of course, that probably we can't invite people indoors afterwards and that sort of thing for an event that takes place on the 12th or the 19th of June. But we can think about that each individually and what can be done. Hopefully in June one can have external gatherings afterwards, but not internal.
Go to the pub.
Can I mention one thing?
Yes, please. Please, Jack.
Just say, because Andrew, when you do it, because we know you've done it so often and you've worked out all these good things and, you know, difficult things, could we have your top 10 tips to kind of run a walk for those who don't do it quite so often? And I think also when it comes to sort of extra layer of organisation because of COVID, I mean, I think it's not just the inside, it's things like you probably need to do your own food because you shouldn't be giving food to other people. So I think things like that, as well as staying distant, is probably just some basic stuff to build into the risk assessment.
Yeah, that would be a really useful idea. Thank you. Would you be prepared to do that, Andrew?
Yeah, I did a thumbs up.
Yeah,
just things like that. People have their own paperwork as well.
Yeah, that's stuff like that, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did also mention the question of car sharing too.
Yes. Yes. Well, that one again is going to depend on whether the government is able to stick to the present route plan. If they do, then I would have taken, I think I said this to you in an email already, Andrew, but I'm glad you've raised it more generally. I forget the exact requirement, but I think one is allowed to meet up to 6 people within 2 households during that 4th step, if it's the 4th or the 5th or whatever it is, beginning on May the 27th. People are allowed to meet 2 households up to 6 people indoors, and that would cover most cars. But I think we also have to respect people's individual concerns, and they may simply not want to share their car despite the rules of the game. Some are wanting to be more strict than the rules, and many others are wanting to be less strict than the rules. But the actual rules say 2 households up to 6 people indoors at that time.
Yeah, quite right.
Yeah.
To draw things to an end.
Going to draw things to an end in a moment, but if there are any other points, be grateful. Any thoughts, any further suggestions on the Walk for Water or WATSAN as a whole? Please, gratefully received. Okay. Well, I think it remains for me just to say once again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you for taking interest in WATSAN, and thank you for your many of your very generous donations, especially during the COVID emergency, and to say that where you've been donating regularly during that period, that especially has kept us afloat. So thank you very much. Thank you for being so loyal. Thank you too for all those who are organising a Walk for Water for the Bwanga Hill project. I think Kate will put some more information about that and copies of the videos on the website very soon. But we are looking to the Walks for Water for a major proportion of the outstanding funding for Bwanga Hill. And please encourage people to give generously as well as to walk, and to get supporters to support them in their efforts. So thank you, and we'll say cheerio, I think, unless any of the trustees would like to say a word before we finish.
Unless Kate wants to add anything.
Or Kate, are you there?
No, I don't. I am here. Yeah, I don't have anything to add, but thank you everyone so much for coming. It's really, really lovely to see so many of you here. Yeah.
Thanks, Kate.
Good. Thank you very much then. We'll say cheerio.
Bless.
Bye.